And I'm live and I'm audible. That is cool. And today is 3rd of August 2025. And from now on, since I need to reach a rating of 2000 by the end of this year, which is about 5 months, I have to have a schedule. And since I'm also solving CP31, I have decided that I will be solving at least three to four problems from that sheet every day. And currently I am at 1200 level. That would take me this whole month to complete 1200 level problems and 1400 and then hopefully even 1600s. And this is going to be hard because 1600 level is, I don't know, okay, whatever it is, but that is my goal with which I'm going to move forward. And there are two parts to this journey. First is, of course, solving problems, and second is studying. And studying, I think, is a very personal thing in the sense that it might not other person might not be able to relate. So I will not be streaming my studying part. I will only be streaming my problem solving part, which is going to be CP31 or lead code or something related. So in the streams, I will only be solving problems and not studying. And yeah, that is going to be the format from now on, and I will see if I change that at any point. And for today, let's begin solving 1200 level problems. That is cool. CP31, there we go, and I had some stuff open. And shit. Yep, CB, and yep, yesterday I did one question, which was this one, and I was unable to do three activities due to some reason. And now I will begin with this one. And let me set a timer, not a timer, a stopwatch to be more exact, and calm myself down. And okay, cool. You are given three integers n, x, y. Let's call the score of a permutation this the following value: x p1 x p1 2x. Okay, one. Okay, x, okay, 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 all the x points and minus y, all the y multiples of y. That is the score. In other words, the score of the permutation is the sum of I and c divisible by this. Divisible by y. You need to find the maximum possible score among all the permutations of length n. For example, if n equals this is 7 and 2 and 3, I need to maximize the values of things at 2 and minimize the values of things at 3. That seems easy. I just put the biggest number, but also there will be numbers that are common, and those numbers I will make them small as possible, because they will be added and subtracted. Their value will actually not matter at the end. So yeah, okay, is equal to this. Okay, I am given x, y, and z for everything. Let's see. First, we have to update, of course. Okay, not here. Shit. Okay, it is persistent and new. Set R and new. Yeah, cool. And a 30 int n x y p in x y n x y and I can just iterate and then fill the rest with the rest. Okay, L equals 1 since the permutation starts at 1. Yep, permutation starts at 1 and R equals N. R is the biggest number and L is the smallest, and putting the smallest there. Okay, and I will never run out. Okay, cool. And VI answer size N. So answer size N, and for int I equals 0, I less than equal I equals 1, I less than equals N I plus plus. If I remain if not I remainder X, if it is divisible by X, then something, and else if not I remainder Y, if it is divisible by Y, then something, and inside I have to check if it is also divisible by Y, then something else, then something else. And if this is the case, then and okay, yes, and also let me make every initial value 0, and it would be 0. Like, of course, it is a vector. If it is divisible by both, then put the smallest value. That is answer I minus 1 equals L plus plus, right? And otherwise, if it is just divisible by X, then I need to make it as big as possible, which is R, and also may reduce it. And here I have to check if not I remainder X, then the same thing as this, else answer I minus 1 equals, I need to put the smallest value, which is L, and L plus plus. And if it is just divisible by the second number, then put the smallest value there to maximize the sum. And if by both, then also put the smallest value. So I don't need to check in this condition. If something is wrong, I do not have highlights line on in my I will look at it after I have done this one. Okay, and after that, I will traverse again, this time from 0, I less than n I plus plus, and if answer I equals, if ans if not answer I, that is, if it is 0, then how do I know which numbers have not been used? I will put, I know that I can use the current L and I can use the current R, and I will go from left to right. Okay, if there is a number remaining, then answer I equals L plus plus. And at the end, cout what I have to output. I have to output the answer. Okay, shit. I thought I had to output this thing. Okay, if the maximum score among all the permutations. Shit, okay, that is crazy. The maximum score would be int sum x equals 0 and sum y equals 0 initially, and when I'm doing this, then nothing. When I'm doing this, sum x plus equals r value, and when I'm doing this in very specific case, so yeah, I have to add if not I remainder x, then simply do this, or like, wait, do this anyway, and if there is a remainder with x, only increase some y in that case. Okay, okay, so I don't have to do this, and actually I don't even have to bother with this set hl. This is very hard, like I do not have highlight lines on due to some reason. Don't need this answer array actually, and put this thing here, and and at the end, cout sum of x minus sum of y, and a new line. Let's see, and it keeps on running and gives me the wrong answer. Okay, this is off by 1, this is off by a lot of numbers, this is off by some numbers, some numbers, some numbers. Okay, let's do, and 3, it is off by 1, 7. So my left counter began at when n equals 7. My left counter began at L equals 1, and my right counter began at 7. And then I started to iterate. First, I started with I equals 1, and I saw, is it divisible by 2 or 3? No, so that does not matter what I put there. Then I move on and I go to 2, and 2 is divisible, so I put 7 there, and first place, let's say it is x, does not matter what is there. Then I move on to the I starts at 1, and it is 1 indexed, so cool, 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 cool. That is cool, it is 1 indexed. And then I go to 3 index and I put the smallest value, which is 1. And this is now 2, this is now 6. Then I move on, and at 4 I see I put the greatest value, which is 6. So this is now 5, and I move on, and next is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it does not matter what I put there. I do not put anything. Then I move on and I go to 6 now, and 6 is divisible by both, so I put 2 there, right? I have to put 2 there, which means I have to increase this thing. Yep. I was not increasing. Was this the problem? Uh, when it is divisible by both, then I have to increase it, and no, it doesn't matter what number I put there. It does. It does. It does not matter. Okay, okay. Let's see. Wrong answer. Okay, I was expecting to get the right answer this time. But okay, 6, 5, and in this place, does not matter which number I put. So I move on. Now I am at 7, the last possible place, which is not divisible by any of these. So this, and therefore the answer should be 7 plus 6 minus 1. 7 plus 6 is 13 minus 1, 12. And I output 13 due to some reason and not 12. Why? There is something wrong with my implementation, therefore. Okay, if I divisible by x and not divisible by y, then this. I can put this like right here. And I remainder y and not divisible by y, then add the rightmost value and minus minus. Shit, okay, yes, of course. And if not divisible by y and divisible by x, then do this and L plus plus, and we are good to go. AC, AC, cool. But why is it taking me so long? Will it work? I think it should work. I want to get this right in first try, so is there a point when R and L can cross each other? No, because every R that I'm crossing and removing, I am using it, and every L that I'm crossing and removing, I am using it, and at one time, I'm only increasing L or decreasing R, and my iteration goes only n number of times, and therefore they should never meet. Yep, they should never meet, and this should work. Let's see if it does. Yo, hey man, how did you started with competitive programming? I started, I guess, 36 days ago, and yeah, I started solving CP31. That's it. What's your rating right now? Right now it is 1300 and time limit exceeded. Okay, why is it taking so long? Because of the first one. Okay, okay, because the number is too large. That first, that one of the test case is too large. So, okay, iterating is stupid in that case, I guess. Because I'm finding remainders, 10 power 9 iteration is too long, I guess. In that case, I need to find how many numbers are, okay, how many numbers are divisible by x in that range, and how many numbers are divisible by y in that range, and only x and only y, and take the sum of the numbers which are divisible by x from the last. And okay, for a range, let's see, from 0 to n, the number of numbers that are divisible by x, and divisible by x equals n divided by x, yeah, minus n divided by x into y, right? And n dy is n divided by y, n divided by y minus n divided by x into y. And I have to get the sum of dx numbers from the end and subtract that from that the sum of dy numbers from the start. So the sum of dx numbers from the end would be the sum of total x numbers minus yeah, minus that. So int s dy, sum of dy numbers from the start would be dy into dy plus 1 whole thing divided by 2. No, n into n plus 1 by 2. Yeah. So that is cool. And int sum dx equals n into n plus 1 divided by 2 minus d. I need the sum of dn number. So n minus dx. So is the dx a number included? It should be. It is. I guess so. Minus 1 into n minus dx minus 2 whole thing divided by 2. And see out sum dx minus sum dy, and then you like, let's see. Okay, wrong answer. Right, it is 0 in this case, right? So it should be 0. I had in this case n is included. So, and that gives me the number of factors of n. And okay, let's see out dx dy. 2 and 1, and in this case it was 1 and 1. Why is there one factor of 2? If n is included, so this should be, yeah, this should return 1, and n divided by n into n 4. That makes sense. What if the numbers are same? If they are same, then the output would always be 0. Okay. If x isn't equal to y, then only then do all of this. Else see out 0, 0. I should get correct answer for this one at least. And here I say 8 and 0 for 44, which is the third one. 8 and 0. 8 is correct. 8 is correct. 8 is correct. And why is it 0 for, it should be 0 for this. Yes, that is also correct. So 8 and 0. So sum of 8 numbers from the start, from the end, it should be 9 plus 8 plus and all of that. It should be 9 into 10 divided by 2, 5, 45, 45 minus 1, 0, 45 minus 1. It should be 45. I did give 45. Why is it 44? 8, 8. No, yes, yes, shit, it should be 44. So when it is 0, 8, so why was I unable to find the sum of last 8 numbers? So this thing is cool, but this thing is not cool. This thing is not cool. Sum of the first dy numbers, this is correct. But this thing, n is inclusive, n into n plus 1, and in that case, n was 9. This should return 45, and then n minus dx. dx is 1. dx is 8. Okay, I do not need this then. Make this one. Wrong answer, but now still it is 45. That is wrong. See out sdy, sdx. 118, 0 and 45. 45 is wrong. 45 is wrong. N is 9. 9 into 9 plus 1, 10. 9 into 1090 divided by 2, 45. And then dx is 8 and 9 minus 8, 1. Okay, yes, I was stupid. Okay. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, I was expecting correct answer this time, but no. This is right. This is wrong. Let's see. Second one. I have 12 integers and 6 and 3. 12 numbers, 6 and 3. 6 has how many multiples that are independent of 3? 0. And 3, how many multiples 3 has in 12? If I divide 12 by 6, this should give me minus. Okay, if it is a perfect factor, that is the point that I am missing. Since these are not primes, okay. On CCD, if okay, if one of them divides the other, then it is either here or there. Then whichever is the smaller one, that will decide. Okay. If they are not equal, and if either x remainder y with no remainder when x is divided by y, or no remainder when y is divided by x. If that is the case, then we do something else. We move on with this. If that is the case, then when one divides the other, then I need to see which one divides the other, and that would be the minimum. And let's put it into x, int equals minimum x and y, and I want to put that into x, so y equals max x comma y, max we're stopping, and x equals mn. So it's shit. I don't. Okay, that is wrong. If x is greater than y, and I know that they are not equal at this point, so this is cool. If x is greater than y, and I need to find the independent times that y divides this many times, and cool, and the answer would be negative of summation of first of these elements. So int s dy equals, which I can simply copy, cout minus s dy, and else should have still worked. Else I find independent numbers taking x and summation of those numbers, and cout sdx with a new line. Okay, a bit wrong. Let's see. Wrong answer. Okay. Even for second one, it is wrong. Wrong for this. Why? Here, this one divides the other one completely, and independent factors, multiples of 3 in 12 would be 3 uh, and would be 3 and 9. 3 and 9, so two numbers. Answer should be -3. Answer should be -3. Why am I outputting -10? N. Okay, yes. Yeah. And also, in this case, then, since y is completely a factor, I do not have to multiply x. And I was expecting correct answer this time, but okay, fine. I got wrong answer for this. 4 and 6, 24, and I say the answer is 104. Let's go with this one. This one is easier and also wrong. So here I have this and multiples of 20. 20 does not divide 50, so that is cool. multiples of 20 are total multiples. Independent multiples of 20 would be 3, 4, 4, and for 50, 1. So I can choose the biggest four numbers. That would be 100 plus uh, uh, the sum of the biggest four numbers, 100 plus 99 plus 98 plus 97. That would be equal to 400 minus 1, 2, 3 is 6. That is 394. The sum of the largest four numbers from 1 to 100, and the smallest number is 1. So answer should be 393. And what do they say? 393 is the correct answer. Why am I outputting 487? N divided by x, 20, 100 divided by 20, that gives 5. Okay, uh, not multiply. I have to do something else. Yes, x into y does not cut it, right? LCM. Instead of this, I have to take the LCM. Yep, and L equals. Yep, there is a function. And I think if I have this, I don't even have to check for this. I can simply do this. Let's see. Correct answer. It is correct answer, but why is it taking so long? Is it trying to find the LCM of these two numbers? That is long. I don't even have to check for this. Okay, so that was easy. LCM, right? LCM. I did a similar question in one of the contests. I guess it was 1038, and in that also. But in that, the thing was different because, okay, it is accepted. In that, the thing was different because instead of taking the numbers were prime numbers, and finding a set was easier in that. Interesting how you give feedback and iterate to the solution. Yeah, thank you. Just 36 days ago, yep, you once mentioned doing it for a year. Were you referring to DSA fundamentals like binary tree? Referring to a year, I mean, I have been in college. This is my second year currently, but I have not done CP and I have not read about DSA. I've been doing web development on and off, and I was also doing assembly. You can see the streams if you want to. Uh, Yo. Before getting into competitive programming, which all concepts do I need to get a good hang of? I guess that is something that you have to explore while you are going forward. Like, like if you see a problem that involves number theory, then go read something about number theory and like that. So, but the main thing is do not be afraid. Right? Do not be afraid, no matter how hard the thing is. Don't be afraid. And I can stop the counter. 37 minutes. That is fine. At least I was able to do this. And why did it take me this long? So the main thing was I had to maximize these, take the biggest numbers possible for these and the smallest numbers possible for these, and I was able to get that insight as soon as I read the question. But the main difficulty came in implementing the solution, and the main difficulty came when I was looking for the number of numbers which are divisible only by x, multiples numbers which are in n from 1 to n, which are only divisible by x, and numbers which are only divisible by y. And that was the part that gave me a bit of trouble, because earlier, instead of finding their LCM, like here, I was multiplying them, and that was bad. And even when I saw that multiplying them is wrong, I did some fitting and handling edge cases, but I didn't realize that it was wrong. My approach for finding those subset was wrong. And there is a reason for that, because maybe I will be able to find it. There was a contest, and I guess 1038, I guess it was 1038, about subsets. Tourist. Again, that is crazy. His submissions. Okay, I won't be able to see contests. One zero three eight is right here, solved 7. And I guess this was the question in which there was something about this, something like this. Nah, no. There was a subset problem. File shuffling. No, this is not the one. Some earlier question, some earlier contest, I guess, in which I had to find piles. Yeah, there's something related to this, but that was different, because in that case, x and y were prime numbers, so I could simply multiply them because that would be their LCM. But it is not in this case. And now I will read the tutorial and also see the tags. Maths, simple maths. D. Let's call a number red if it is divisible by x, and blue if by y. Let's call it purple if both. Then the score of a permutation by definition, if the score of a permutation by the given definition is the sum of pi for all red numbers from 1 to n, and pi for all the blue numbers from 1 to n, minus the sum of those. Okay. It is easy to see that pi at purple indices I does not affect the score of the permutation. They are included in the sum, once with a plus sign and once with a minus sign. Therefore, the score of permutations is the sum of pi red but not purple indices minus the sum of blue but not purple indices. Notice that the set of red but not purple indices and the set of blues but not purple indices cannot intersect, of course, because we have removed all the purples. It would be purple and we have removed them. Therefore, it is obviously optimal to place the largest numbers on the red and the smallest on the blue, and take the sum of the purple and remove the sum of the blues. So that is cool. And I can move on to the next question. So this one was, I guess, the fastest that I have been able to do a question at this rating. Assembly via Minimus. Can you please do more streams on web development? Not right now, because Right now, I have to get to 2000 rating. This year, I have to get to 2000 rating. It is my main focus right now. And okay, we'll start. Okay, cool. Sasha has an array A of n integers. He, not she, he got bored and all of the integers ij, he wrote down minimum values of I and j. He obtained a new array A integers, A n integers. He got bored and for all I, j, he wrote down minimum values of I and j. He obtained a new array of size n to n minus 1 divided by 2. Okay, because that is the number of pairs, and from every pair he is choosing one number n into n minus 1, n choices, then n minus 1 choices divided by 2, remove the half. Okay, for example, if this, he would write min 2 3, min 2 5, min 2 1, and okay, and get this, he then he randomly shuffled all the numbers of the array B. Unfortunately, he forgot the E array. Your task is to restore any possible array E from which the B could have been obtained. The elements of A should be in the range this. Sasha has fuck, okay, well, this could have been okay, and n was initially, why is n this, and the length of this array, and the second test case contains this many elements. 2, so 1 makes sense, two numbers. Okay. 5, there were 5 numbers, and among all the pairs, 2 was the smallest. Okay. Okay. So I can create a set and put all of these numbers there and take the smallest, create a priority queue would be better, with smallest number at the top, and take the smallest number that would be one of my numbers in the A array, and I have to see how many iterations of that I want. Therefore, okay, instead of priority queue, I will use an ordered map. That would also give me the smallest number and also how many times it is there. So if I see that minus 2 is the smallest number here, that means I need how many pairs? I need 4 pairs in which minus 2 is the smallest, and I need 4 pairs in which minus 2 is the smallest. Therefore, I will also take a counter, and whatever number I add next has to be greater than the counter. And initially my counter would be equal to the smallest element. Therefore, after adding an element, I will make the counter equal to the smallest element which I have just added, and also the order does not matter. 4, I can make the counter equal to 4, and so one number would be minus 2 in this. Then I will go to 0 and see that there are 5 zeros, so I need 5 pairs which are equal to 0. So I guess starting from the biggest number would be also cool, would be better. If I start with 3, I know that whatever number I add next can be smaller than 3, and I will be adding these numbers only in a very specific sequence. Then I take, but 3, okay, shit. 3. If I'm having 3 as the biggest number, then I will first of all add 3 plus 1, 4, and then 3, so that there is at least one pair in which I have 3 as the biggest number, and the biggest minimum of these two, and they can even be equal. They can even be equal. I can add, okay. So I will iterate from the biggest number. Here I have 7 as the biggest number, and it appears only once. So I add 7 twice. That makes sense. I add 7 twice. 2 places are already taken. Then 5 is the second biggest number, and I have to add it 2 times. And since I have already added 2 numbers which are bigger than 5, then I can simply add 5, does not matter. And then I see 3, and I have to add, I need to get 3 pairs which are greater than 3, and I have already added 3 numbers which are greater than 3. I can simply add 3, so that is cool. So I have to use a nice data structure. Map would be cool. Does map dot begin in C++ give the smallest element? I guess it does. Yep, it does give me the smallest element. 30 int n, and then okay, for I equals 0 and I less than that number, n into n minus 1 whole thing divided by 2 I plus plus, and okay, and also a map of integer to integer called mp, and initially 0. Yeah, no, does not, that doesn't mean anything. And then I will take the current number, c in c and mp bracket c plus plus. Okay, and I need to iterate from the largest number, therefore for int for auto reference x equals mp dot r begin and x not equal to mp dot r end and x plus plus y reserve. Iterator is temporary. That is crazy. That is why I cannot get a reference. I will only get a R value. Okay. Right, begin. Okay. This is the biggest element, and I see how many iterations I want for this biggest element, and I also need a counter of how many elements I have already added. Int added equals 0. So int count, like how many I need for this, is x dot go to x dot x dot second. Okay, x dot second, that is the value, and if a less than C, then I need to add more of this, or either I add more of this number or more of numbers that are greater than this into my array, which is going to be my answer. Okay, vi answer size n, and initially everything is equal to 0 by its own, on its own. And what if it becomes too big? Let's see, here 3 is the biggest, here 2 is the biggest, and so much. Here 2 is the biggest, and I need 2 how many times? 10 times. I need 2 10 times. So and initially I have not added any elements, so I will add 2. I will have to add 2 all the time. My answer would be an array full of 2's like this. How do I get to that? I see that A is more, and whenever it is smaller, so okay, I add this number once. When I add this number once, whatever is the value of A, I get that once. And when I add this again, whatever is the value of A, I get that, and A would be 1 at this point. And when I add 2, A is already equal to 2, and the new value of A would be 3. And how many pairs will I make? I will have 2 into 3 into 2 by 1, 3 pairs. Yeah, 3 pairs. And then I add, which is still less than 10, I add another 2. A becomes equal to 4, and 4 by 2, 2 into 3, 6. I will get 6 pairs, which is still less than 10. So I add one more, and it becomes equal to 5, and then I will have 10 pairs. So cool. Okay. Okay. But I have to add it at least once, no matter what. No matter what, but I do not want to count those other pairs. Yep. Yep. Shit. Okay. Uh, current current element. How many times I have added the current element, and let's make it equal to 1. Let's make it equal to 1. Since I will add this element at least once, and that is answer bracket. No, shit. Pushback would be nice. Or I could have a counter. Or it is just equal to A. A, right. Answer A equals, okay, and E is going to be the element X first, and here I have E. So I have put E there once, and the number of elements has increased by 1. CE current element is 1, and okay. Okay, and while current element multiply by A minus CE, that makes a lot of sense. 3 plus the number of permutations in CE plus the number of pairs that can be formed internally inside CE. Okay, okay, okay. This thing plus this thing plus the number of pairs inside, which is okay, CE minus 1 into CE, and divide this by 2, while this thing is lower than what I need, and what I need is C. Okay, cool. Yep, this will work. This will work. While this is lower than what I want, then I will do ANS A plus plus equals E, and CE plus plus. I have updated A, I have updated C, and cool. Let's see. What do I get? What do I get? Here, 33275 3. That will work. That will work. That will work. 2. Wait, this will return me how many? That is fucking awesome. Okay. For auto X in answer P out X C out any line. Yep, 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 yep. This should work. 17 minutes is cool. But can this fail? I want to get this right in the first try. I think this should work. This should work. Because at every step, I am only adding as many elements as is required, and okay. Accepted is fucking cool. Okay. Do you also practice JavaScript? In the meantime, I am currently trying to learn MLDSA and web development simultaneously. I worked with JavaScript about a year ago application. I'm not learning JavaScript, not right now, but I did read a book for JavaScript, and that was cool. So I have forgotten how to write logic from scratch, though I can still understand from syntax and handle file coordination while building apps. What your usual approach to or pipelining when building websites? I begin with data. I know that what data I would have to use and configure and update. So I begin by setting up the data and everything. I first of all I build the model of the data, like if I'm storing data about user, so how how much data I will be storing about user, like their name, emails, password, and everything, and how will the backend update it, and then How will the front end talk to the back end, and everything just branches out from there, kind of. And I have not built a lot of projects, so I'm not the best person to advise you on this. And you can always go here, learn X environments, JavaScript, and go through this. This is amazing. And to get up to JavaScript, like you can solve questions from Advent of Code. Go there, go to Advent of Code, take any year and solve a couple of questions. That is cool, and accepted is fucking cool. 20 minutes. Cool. Like today is way better than yesterday. And now Vika and the bridge. Stopwatch. And also shit, I should see the tags for this problem and also the stuff. Greedy and sorting. Did I use sorting? I did not. I could have used sorting and optimized this thing. Yep. Instead of creating a map, I could have sorted and counted the number of occurrences. Yeah. Yep. That is just implementing the same thing in a different manner. And yep, this was also greedy. Now the tutorial. Question number 6. This was a third division contest. Assembly via minimums. Suppose we have an array A that we want to construct with elements this to this. To simplify the process, let's assume that the elements of A are sorted in non-descending order, meaning like this, they do not decrease. Let's start with A1. Since elements of A are sorted, the pairs these will have A1 as their smallest element in each pair. Therefore, the number of occurrences of A in this would be n minus 1. Moving to A2, we already know that A1 appears n minus 1 times in B. Since the elements of A are sorted, all pairs involving A1 will have A2 as the smallest element. This means A2 will appear n minus 2 times in array B. Okay, we continue this process for each element in AI. The number of occurrences of AI in B will be n minus I. We cannot determine the exact values of exact value of an because it won't be written to array B. Therefore, an we can choose any number in the range this. In case there are multiple elements B1 in array B that satisfy the condition for a particular AI, we choose the smallest. This greedy approach works because we are constructing A in a non-descending order, and yep, yep, makes sense. Okay. And I will move on to the next question. Yep. I don't feel like going back to relearning the basics from basic learn framework or take full courses again. So I ended up using ChatGPT a lot instead. I mean, if you are learning and you can do the thing that you are trying to do without ChatGPT, then using ChatGPT is no problem. But if you cannot code without ChatGPT, then it is a problem. How much do you rely on reference? Like looking things up. I just looked up if if map.begin returns the smallest element. I just looked it up, and yeah, you are going to forget things, but you should know what you forgot and look that up. And I'm also reading a reference book for C++. So I do rely on reference like everyone else, the C++ programming language. Yep. So let's begin. Vika, and I've heard this one, Vika. In the summer, Vika likes to visit her country house. There is everything for relaxation, comfort, swings, bicycle. There is a wooden bridge over the river consisting of N planks. It is quite old and unattractive, so Vika decided to paint it. And in the shed, they just found cans of paint of key colors. After painting each plank in one of key colors, Vika was about to go swing into get a break. However, she realized that the house was on the other side of the river and the paint has not yet completely dried, so she could not walk on the bridge yet. In order to not spoil the appearance of the bridge, she decided that she would walk on it, but only stepping on planks of the same color. Otherwise, a small layer of paint on her sole will spoil the plank of another color. Vika also has a little paint left, but it will only be enough to repaint one plank of the bridge. That is interesting. Now Vika is standing on the ground in front of the first plank to walk across the bridge. She will choose some planks of the same color after repainting, which have numbers this M. Okay, planks are numbered from one left to right to walk from the bridge. You will choose some planks of the same color after repainting. Then Vika will have to cross I minus one this many planks as a result of m plus 1 steps, because there are m planks that she has to go to. Since Vika is afraid of falling, she does not want to take too long steps. So what is the limit? Help her and tell her the minimum possible number of planks she will have to cross in one step if she can repaint one or zero plank a different color while crossing the bridge. Since Vika is afraid of falling, she does not want to take too long steps and tell her to do the minimum possible. Okay, what are the ranges? K. K can also be very big. N can be 10 power 5. I can do n log n. This is the thing that she has painted. Okay. Distances. There will be distances for every color. I will create an array, K array, an array of size K, and two arrays of size K. One will contain for every color the last time that I saw this color, and another would contain the smallest distance in that color, the smallest distance from the start, either from the start, it is the first time that I'm seeing this, or not. Okay, smallest distance would be that. Okay, and smallest would not cut it because yeah, that the maximum, tell her the minimum possible maximum number. Okay, I will keep track of the maximum. Yeah, yeah. Keep track of the maximum, and I will suppose that when I'm at the end, at the other side of the bridge, that part has all the colors, and before the bridge, that also has all the colors. So if the blank is the first blank would not be crossing any colors. Okay, the first blank actually does matter. The distance would be 0 for that. Okay, maximum. Okay, I think I have something. Int n and C in n and also k, and then the iteration and k, and I need some arrays. I do not have to do that. Okay, vector, the maximum. Okay, mx size k and vi mx l. Okay, and yes, I can initialize the last to 0. Okay, it will be, of course, 0, and maximum will also be, okay, L last, okay, and C is the current number. Well, C, and so C is the current color. So whatever it is, I have to update max and I have to update L and I. Okay, mx k, mx C equals maximum of L C, the last time that I saw this current minus the last time that I saw this blank, and the maximum which has been for this one MC X max, and then update the last one which is LC equals I. Loop invariant, and okay, then at the end I will go through all the colors, and for int I equals 0, I less than k, I plus plus, I plus plus, k for every color. Last, yes, I will have their last, and I will have to update their maximum according to this. Okay, for ith color, I have to update its maximum. I do not have to update its last. Mx I equals maximum of mx I, the maximum which has been the last. Okay, if the n minus n 0 0. Okay, n minus L I. Okay, and after updating the maximum, I will take the minimum maximum. Okay, int mnx, minimum maximum is int max to begin with, and mnx equals minimum of mx I and mnx. And since I can divide this thing into half, I will take its ceiling. Yes, take its ceiling. So C out, this is crazy. C out m n x, I have to divide it by 2 mnx, mnx plus 1 divided by 2. Will this work? Segmentation. What? The size is a. Okay. C minus minus. Wrong answer. 2 correct. Should have been 0 and not 1. I have only one black. Why would maximum be... Okay, 111 is a crazy case. So let's see. See out. When I went for this, I ran the loop only once. I got in 1 and 3 1 3 1. Okay, I will run the loop 3 times. 1 1 1. C equals 1 equals 0. Size of mx and L is 1. That is the value of k. Then mxc, which is 0, equals maximum of mxc is initially 0 0, or I is 0 right now, and L, the last time I saw C was 0, so 0 minus 0, it is 0 right now, and LC is now 0, which it already was equal to 0. And then again, now C is again 1, but I is equal to 1, and 1 minus 0 is 1. So okay, that is crazy. That is crazy. 1 minus 0 is 1. Yeah, 1 minus 0 is 1. Of course, it is 1. I have to see how many steps are in middle. In the middle, yeah. What is this? Initialize all of these to last to minus 1 and to find. This is wrong. This part is wrong. This part I current minus the last time I saw this. Current is 0, and if I subtract minus 1, I will get 1 and minus 1. I was hoping to get correct answer this time, but anyways, it is not correct. For this thing, why is it not correct? It says 1. So I changed this. It is a minus 1, and mx I is 0 in the first iteration. C is also equal to 0, and LC is minus 1. So minus 1 is plus 1. Plus 1 minus 0, plus 1 minus 1 is 0, and maximum between 0 and 0 is 0. So this, and LC becomes 0. uh, LC becomes 0 because I is 0, and then I come in again, and C is 0, I is 1 this time, and I do 1 minus 0 is 1, 1 minus 1 is 0, and earlier it was also 0, so maximum between 0 and 0 is 0, and LC becomes 1 this time, and now I is equal to 2, and I do 2 minus 1, which is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. Maximum between 0 and 0 is 0, and LC becomes 2, and I will never go to the loop again. Okay, this thing. Okay, yeah, shit. Okay. Maximum of the maximum that has been, or n. I am supposing that the last -1 because it is 0 indexed. One more -1. And I guess it will run this time or it won't. At least we have the right answer here. And only these two. The first and the second last. The first one and the second last one. Here. Shit. First one should be 0. I can just change this. Okay. Uh, uh, minimum maximum distance. Okay, and it should be equal to 1 if I go through 1 in this case, because I just have to step over this. So m and x should be 1. And okay, if it is 1, I can subtract 1 and subtract 1, that is like repainting it, and divide the remaining into 2. Okay, if it is even, if it is odd, then subtract 1 and have equals on both sides. If it is even, then I subtract 1. Let's say it is 5, it is 4, then if it is 4, if I have 4 blanks in the middle, then I will color, let's say this one, and I will have answer 2. So 3 divided by 2, I need to get its upper limit of mx minus 1, for example, subtract 1, and get the upper limit, which should be just this. Shit, I was actually hoping to get the correct answer this time, but okay, wrong answer for this and this. I said 1, but it should be 2. Here, what is the maximum distance? I will obviously not go with 1 because the maximum distance is this much. And with 2, I get that the maximum distance is 3. And with 3, the maximum distance is pretty cool. This 2 here, this 2 here, and it is 2 here. Okay, so how many times the maximum distance is there? Okay, yeah, makes sense. Because I can only paint it once. If it is okay, shit. I would have to keep additional array that keeps track of how many times I have seen the maximum distance. Vi mx count size k, and if I minus l c, this thing that is below, minus 1, that is the current distance from the last one. If this thing is lower, greater than or equal to mx c, or let me actually like to store it, int cd current distance equals, if current distance lower equals mx c, the current maximum distance, then mx c plus plus. What the heck is mxc? Mx for the current one. Plus plus, initially everything is 0. Else, if CD is greater than the current maximum, whatever it was, then mxc, c equals 1, equals 1. Initially it was 0, so yeah, it equals 1, and also update mxc equals current distance. So at the end, when I'm calculating this, NCD current distance is, shit, this thing is not giving me any error because the value of this assignment is being assigned to this CD. That is crazy, which means I can do this. This is the current distance, and the same thing that I did here. If it is equal, then this, and if it is smaller, then it doesn't matter. And when I am finding MNX, I need to find such a one where this, okay, what about the second smallest distance? Shit, this is wrong. This is wrong. Shit, yes, it is wrong. What if the second smallest is like the, yeah. So I also need to keep track of the second smallest distance, which means I need a pair or maybe another array for first smallest and the second smallest. Shit. Uh, yeah, shit. This will not work. This will break. First of all, let me fix the error that I was trying to fix earlier. But still, shit, this will not work. And just the distance. Also, the second smallest distance is what matters. And whatever is the maximum, I take that. And yeah, yep. So last mx k maximum 1, okay, and vi mx2 of size k, and this updating process will have to change. If it is, oh yes, sure, okay. If it is, okay, greater than or equal to mxc, the first distance, that is the greatest distance. If it is equal to or greater than, then I have to update both, and I have to check if it is equal. If CD equals mx1c, if it is equal, then I have certain procedures. If, if it is equal, then increase the count first of all, which will be Ah, shit, I would have multiple counts in that case. Yep, I would also have two counts. VIMXC2. Okay. Usually all of them are 0 and MXC1C plus plus. If it is equal, and yeah, that's it. Else, if it is not equal, if it is simply greater, then I have to update MXC and also update the other one. Therefore, MXC2 for C equals MXC XC1C and MX, and that is updated, and MX2C is MX1C, that is fully updated the count, and the second largest distance, now count for the largest one, is MX1C plus plus MX1, that is the greatest distance, becomes CD, and MX1 maximum count for 1C becomes 1. Makes sense. Update the second largest and the largest. Yep, makes sense. Else if CD greater than equal to MX2C. Yep. Now if CD equals MX2C, then simply update MXC to C plus plus. Else, if that is not the case, if it is simply greater than MX, I can do simply what I did here and change. It is simply greater than this CD, and this becomes 1. Count. This is CD, and this is 1. Okay. And what the heck is this supposed to mean? This is also. Ah, shit. Okay. La. This is cool. Okay. This works. This works. I have to change this thing now. Current distance. First of all, this whole thing will go there. And in why am I using C instead of C? Using I, or I should update this to be C, or like yes, and this becomes N. This becomes N. Yep, yep. This becomes N, and then update the first and the last, and then update my mxn, or let me call it the answer. I need to have mxc1 for c equal to 1. The greatest has to be equal to 1. And if I have that, then I need to see half if mxc, no, mx1 x mx1 for c divided by 2, if this is greater than mx1 c mx2 c, if it is greater, then answer equals greater or equal, then answer equals mx1 c divided by 2. Else, if mx2 c is greater than, then no, 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 no answer then in that case. No answer, no answer, no answer. Don't put it equal to answer. If, okay, if it is 1, I'm looking for the cases when I can use a repaint, and that would actually help me when I can shorten the longest distance and make it equal to xic minus 2. If it is greater than or equal to the second shortest distance, only then can I make answer equal to this. Answer will be minimum of answer of mx1 c divided by 2. But if it is not, if the second one is greater, then does not matter, and if I do not have more counts, then also does not matter, and else answer equals minimum of answer comma the mx1c, and initially let me make answer int max. Where's the pen? Doo-doo-doo. Yeah, okay, of course, of course. Will this work? Will this work in first try? I want to get this right in first try. How much time? 34 minutes. Fine, but will I get this right? I want to get this right in first try. Is anything wrong? Am I missing anything? The greatest. No. Yep. Yeah. This should work. Time complexity. I haven't thought about time complexity in this one, but let's see. I want to make this a streak. If this is accepted, that I would be happy. I think it will not be. Shit, I should have seen this. I have accepted. NQ. Uh, how much do you rely on references? And do you drink caffeine daily or listen to music while studying or working? I do drink caffeine daily, and while I'm studying, I do not listen to music because that interrupts studying part. But if I'm just coding, which I am not, mm, like if I'm coding like this is like more like studying and less like coding. So I do not listen to music. Like what do you most of the time for those? Mm, I code and I study, and this is taking a lot of time. Shit. Why? Is my internet on? Yes, everything is fine. And there is an update for OBS and wrong answer. Okay. Expected this, found this. What could I have missed in my complicated implementation of this thing? My output is this. He expected this. There are maybe she didn't use some of the colors and she's using all the colors. Step 1 in 0. Repaint one blank. She might or might not. In one of the, okay, so she might not have used all the colors, in which case maximum for some colors might not be that, but that is not the issue in this question, is it? The last one would be -1, and there might be blanks that she has not colored, in which case the maximum would be 0 and answer would have become 0, but that is not the problem in this case. Is she guaranteed to use all the colors? In these examples, she is. He. Am I still audible, by the way? Guys, go on. These are the no here. He is to 2200 plus on CF and doing programming solving stream now. I like this guy more, no shade to the other guy. That is cool. Like you are the only one watching right now. Yep, I am audible. Okay, wait a minute. Um, Wait a minute. I will have to go for a minute. I will be right back. And I'm back. Yeah, just kidding. I'm a newbie, so why was someone so crazy? I don't understand. He is Okay, shit, there are two guys. Just kidding, I'll watch both. Yeah, cool. What did I miss? What did I miss more? What did I miss? Wrong answer on test case 3, 40 minutes. Well, at least I will meet my target of solving 3 questions today. I'll go for 4. After this, one more question. At least. And my answer is higher than jury's answer. Okay, if there are multiple intervals. Multiple intervals. Okay. Shit. My answer is higher. And it is like, what is the difference? 1 and difference is not suggesting anything. Maybe that is the thing, that she is not using all the colors. And she might not be using all the colors. So when I initially maximum 1 and 2 are all equal to what? And they are all equal to, I can, if I do not want them to be counted, I can make this thing big, very big, and max, or at least like equals to, yeah, initially if it is equal to 2, then, and I would have to submit this again because shit, I cannot run this test locally. Okay, it is taking a lot of time, of course, because I'm like, I have this many arrays, 5 arrays. That is crazy. I could have made pairs, but guess having multiple arrays is better than having an array of pairs, a vector. Weaken the bridge. And even if I didn't make this 2 equal, if it was still 0, then still it would not pass because it is 0 and I am looking for 1. I am looking for 1. Yeah. Okay, so that is not the problem. Nope, this thing, this is not the problem. Something else. I am missing something. And I am missing something. Something obvious. And yep, my name is Walrus. I said this, but the jury said this. There is a conflict. One. I am looking for one. And it will be one. Yep. That is the only case that I can cut it open, cut it. Okay, I'm not looking at the count of the second one. Okay. Yep, I'm not looking at the count for the second one. And way down we go. And here, what is this? Then do this. No, no. I don't have to look at the count of for the second one. I don't even need to keep track of the count of the second one. In C2, I don't need this actually. In C2, I don't need it. Nope, I don't need it. So what do I do in this case? I only update this when it is greater. I can do this. Anyway, doesn't matter. And the same thing here. And it will still work. Yep. And time has reduced. Earlier it was 900 milliseconds, now it is 600. But it is wrong for the third one. Let me try to submit it again. Submit. Let's see. Okay, wrong answer. And yep, the same value as before. I'm saying something else, the jury is saying something else. And it would be cool if I could show you what I'm thinking, but I cannot do that. Now I'm trying to think of something that I might be missing in this question. But I cannot think of anything. Take minimum of answer or okay. After updating the maximum value for the current value, I am updating answer to be equal to the minimum of answer that has been till this point or equal to this value. And in some cases, I would be able to cut this in half if, first of all, if first of all MC1 has to be equal to 0. That has to be equal to 1. That is, this is the only time that I that the maximum distance for this one appears only once, right? If it appears twice or thrice, then I won't be able to do anything. Then I won't be able to cut it in half if the maximum distance is appearing multiple number of times. So if it is appearing only once, then I see if I divide this into half, and what I get is either greater than or equal to mx2, the second maximum for this color. Only then can I divide this into half, and that is what I'm doing, answer or maximum 2. And then take the minimum of the answer till now, or after dividing this distance into half. I cannot think of anything that I might be missing. And also I'm getting the correct answer for this first and second test cases. So what's up with 3? There's some value error, some C++ thing. There were 10,000 test cases for this, and I got the correct answer for all of them. 77 milliseconds is crazy. They have big servers. Okay, 10,000 numbers. Simply one test case. N is big, K is big. And this is not even the largest value that I can get for N. I can go up to 10 power 5. Let me now look at the solution. Actually, it has been 52 minutes because I literally cannot think of anything that I might be missing. Like, there is not even an inclination that might point me to the right direction. Or I do not want to look at the solution. I am skipping this one for now, and yeah, I will do this on my own or maybe later on the stream itself. This is a nice question. Save to list. Well, it is saved to list because I will see it here that it is not completed. So cool. And I can stop the counter. 53 minutes around and still unable to do the question. Fine. That is fine. Not too bad. And stopwatch. It has been 2 hours and 3 minutes, and I guess this next question will be my last one. And let's see how much time it takes to get it right. Yep, cool. For an array of integers a n, let's call the value. This one is this, this one is this, this one is this, the absolute distance, add the absolute differences, the contrast of the array. Note that the contrast of an array of size 1 is equal to 0. You are given an array of a integers. A, your task is to build an array B insist that the following conditions are met. B is non-empty and is at least one element. B is a subsequence of A, that is B can be produced by deleting some elements from A, maybe 0. The contrast of B is equal to the contrast of A. Okay, find the contrast for A. The absolute value, and A cannot be equal to B. What is the minimum possible size for B? Since I want, if I am deleting an element, this and this, there might be a couple of possibilities. I want this sum to remain the same. So if I'm doing, and now also I'm taking the maximum absolute difference, right? That changes things. How do I do maths with absolutes? Let's say, a 0 minus a 1, a 0 minus a 1, and plus a 1 minus a 2. It has to be equal to absolute distance of a 0 minus a 2. If I remove a1, that is, if I remove a1. Okay, how do you do maths with mods? How many possibilities there are there? Let me see. Um, a0, a1, and a2. Let's say a0 is the biggest. If a0 is the biggest, and let's say they are in sorted order, then can I remove a1? I can, if this is the thing, and then breaking open the bracket would make, breaking open the bracket in any case, this would cut off minus a2, but that is not what I'm doing. There is this modulus to mess things up. Okay, so I can only open the modulus if a1 is smaller than a0 and greater than or equal to a2. Let's see if that is not the case. If let's say a1 is greater than a0, I would get a1 minus a0, and let's say it is the greatest. It is like also greater than a2, and if it is greater than a2, then yeah, a1 minus a2, and this would not be cool. So nope, not possible. It cannot be the greatest, and can it be the smallest? If a1 is the smallest, then this will open as it is, but this will not open as it is, so that is wrong. And a1 has to be in between, lower than a0 and greater than a1. But even if it is like in the reverse, it is smaller than a2 and greater than a1, then also we are cool to go. Yep, yep. Makes sense. What is the input like? N and then the array itself. Okay. Int n and vi. Do I need the array? Yeah, doesn't matter. Auto and x a v x, and I would like to iterate for int I equals 1 I less than n minus 1 I plus plus, because I can never remove the first and the last index, right? I can I can only do that if it is 0, if they are 0. And can it be equal to 0? It can be equal to 0, so yeah, sure. It can even be equal to 0. Sure. Okay, so what do I have to output? I have to output the length of array B. I can do that. Why do I have the Oxford Dictionary behind me? Let's do this. Int z equals 0. That is the number of zeros that I have. Wait, can I do this? No, that would be horrible. After taking in this, if not x, then z plus plus. And if I have removed a number, if, I have removed shit, I cannot remove 0. Yep. Yeah, I cannot remove 0. I cannot remove 0. That is wrong. So I can never remove the first and the last number. Yep, I can never do that. So I don't need this. And here, okay, left and right, L equals 0. Int L equals 0 initially. And L is telling me where the last element that I have not removed is. Now, if if the current element, which is AI, if AL greater than equal to if AL greater than equal to AI, whatever is the case there, is the same as AI AI greater than equal to AI plus 1. If that is the case, then I can remove AI, thus reducing the size by 1 SZ minus minus. If I cannot do that, else L plus plus. That becomes a new lab. And at the end, C out as Z. Moment of truth. And yeah, truth is hard to swallow. Let's see. Here I can remove this 3. Then I can remove this 3. And I can remove this 3. And the answer would be 6 still. This one, this is 2. This one, this is 3. Yeah, so answer would be 2. That is what I should have outputted instead of this. Okay, I took in everything. L equals 0. Size is n. That is that. I begins at 1. Last one. Is it greater than or equal to? No, it is 1. And current one, which is 3. So this thing is false. If this thing false, equals, oh, this thing would be true in that case. Okay, I can make like two conditions in that case if it is equal. If this, either it is this, either it is true for both or false for both, or it might be, or it might be equal to the one on the right, right, or to the one on the left if it is the first, if it is the first element that I am at AI equals AL, or AI equals AI plus 1. Let's see. And I was hoping to get the correct answer this time, but anyways, here the answer should be 2. That is what I output, but they say it is 1. Of course, if they are all the same, then the answer is 0, and that is the only edge case. Okay, I can have a work around it using some edge case method, but okay, let me write a very specific case. After removing, okay, if size sz equals sz z equals 2, size is 2, if size is 2 and a0 equals a and minus 1 a or a dot back, then here then C out 0, that would be the only condition in which I can output 0, and I should get the correct answer now, or maybe not. Wait, not 0, 1. Correct, correct. And is there something that I might be missing in this? No. Let's see. I don't think I'm missing anything. Well, that is just what I think. Left. Yeah, this condition has to be true, or it has to be equal to at least to the left one or to the one on the right. At least. Anyone. Would it work if it is equal to any one of these? Yeah. Let's see. It is running, and I guess wrong, wrong answer, wrong answer. Yep, wrong answer. Shit. Wrong answer at for something. for test number is 358th. That I will have to see the input for that. But before I do that, let me go to the washroom for a minute. I will be right back. And I'm back. And I am audible. That is nice. And I am in the middle of the camera. That is also nice. Middle of the frame. 18 minutes. And I got the wrong answer. Shit. That is dangerous level. Okay. Shit. I might have to end the stream because my voice gets bad if I stream with charging on. But let me see. Let me see. Let me see. And I was okay. Now it is charging, and I hope my voice is clear. And if it is not, you can just tell me in the chat. The one person watching the stream can tell me. And answer is wrong on test number 2 due to some reason. Let's see. For this, um, okay, so I got correct for all of these, but I want to see the specific test case on which I got my answer wrong. It was 358. Expected 4, found 3. So I removed one more than I should have. I removed more than I should have. So one of these condition is getting overly correct. I guess this one is not. This one is not. Let's see. For test number 358 and t equals 80. And what is the total number of tests? It is, I guess, 10,000. Yep, 10,000. So after taking in the input, if t equals 10,000 and if t minus pt equals 358, then see out first of all n, and that should be equal and C out A. And if not, then do all of this stuff. Let's see. Submit, submit. Yep, wrong on the second question. That is what was expected. Okay, why am I outputting that? Three 58, I should have done this. Okay, 1,000, make it 10,000. Okay, copy everything, go submit. Then why do I have to manually add the problem? Okay, well, at least I got two problems correct. That was cool. Let's see, let's see. Wrong on test 2. That is what was expected. But it doesn't work. You can the bridge, unable to do that. Contrast value. Yeah, I'm actually curious to see on which test case I got the wrong answer. And let's see that it doesn't work, does it? Something is wrong with code forces itself. Okay, shit. I accidentally used mouse on Vim, which is bad. Bad for your health. Okay, seems to be working. This one. Go down and after this, and this is the thing that I removed three things, which means I removed this first of all, and then I didn't remove this. Okay, yes. Fuck. L doesn't simply increase. Okay, shit. That is bad. That is bad. Yes, shit. This was a shit. This should not have happened. This is a very bad thing to happen. Shit. This was actually stupid. Yeah, still correct answer, but shit. L doesn't just increase, it goes, yeah, shit. The problem was that L should be pointing to the latest element that has not been removed, and I was simply increasing L by 1, but maybe the next element that is after L it has been removed from the array, and if that is what has happened, then L should not be pointing to that. Now it will be correct. Yep, yep. Now it will be correct. Running, and it will say correct answer. It will say accepted. Yep, accepted. Shit. 26 minutes. And when did I submit it for the first time? Here, 14. which is UTC. What the fuck? Uh, it is my time. Okay. 3, I submitted this one for the first time at 3:14 and now it is 25, so like 11 minutes on a stupid mistake. So I should be more careful while writing it. I could have avoided this. So I should be more careful while I'm writing the code. And now I'll do one more question. Refresh and this one. Contrast value done and playing in casino. But it's before moving, I have to see the tutorial. And I guess it will say exactly what I did. Greedy. Yes. Okay. The tag is implementation. I have to implement this. That is very helpful. And I'm being sarcastic. C. Bloodist is a nice guy. And Bloodist and IO are friends. That is one thing. C. This was division 1 and 2. So I was able to do division 3 question. That is good. N round 148. That is very old. Let's rephrase the problem in the following form. Let the elements of the array be points on a coordinate line, then okay, shit, can I, in this case, remove everything except these two? And is the answer 2? No, answer is 3. I can remove all of these and still have them. Okay, and then I can remove this. Yep, yep, everything in the middle can go. Difference between, okay, let's rephrase the problem in the following form. Let the elements of the array be points on a coordinate line. Then the absolute difference between two adjacent elements of the array can be represented as distance between 2 points, and the contrast for the entire array is equal to the total distance to visit all the points in the given order. Go there, go back, go there, yeah. In this interpretation, it becomes obvious that moving any set of points does not increase contrast, since the resulting contrast should be equal to the original one. We can only remove elements from the array that do not decrease the contrast. Yep. First of all, let's look at consecutive equal elements. It is obvious that you can delete all of them except one, and the contrast of the array will not change. In some languages, you can use a standard function to do this. In C++, I can do unique. That is cool. After that, let's look at such positions I, except it, yeah, compare it to the left and right. You can delete ith element, or if it is the other way around, I minus 1 is greater than I, which is greater than I plus 1. In which case this will be equal to this. Similarly, for position here, I can remove the element. So yeah, that is what he is checking for. Either this thing, either this thing, or the value is equal to the left or either to the right. Yeah, so that is cool. And I can move on to this next question. Yep. And is my voice okay? If you four people can tell me, is my voice okay? I think it should be. My laptop is on charging, so it might not be okay because there is some static current because of that. Anyways, start. Galaxy Luck, a well-known casino in Japan, is originally introduced in the card game. In this game, there is a deck that consists of one card. Each card has and numbers. In single card, multiple numbers. Each of the n players receives exactly one card from the deck. Then all the players play with each other in pairs, and each pair of the player plays exactly each pair of players play exactly once. Thus, if there are, for example, 4 players in total, then 6 games are played. The first against the second, the first against the third, the first again. Everyone plays everyone. That is, I guess, a round robin. The second against the third. Okay, everything. Each of these games determines the winner in some way, but the rules are quite complicated. So we will not describe them here. All that matters is how many chips are paid out to the winner. Let the first player's card have numbers. Okay, since every card has n numbers and same numbers, and the second player's card be this, then the winner of the game gets this many chips from the total pot, where x denotes the absolute value. Then the winner of the game, okay, between this pair gets this many chips. Shit, n square, and then find that would be horrible. To determine the size of the total pot, it is necessary to calculate the winner's total winnings for all the games. Since there can be many cards in a deck and many players, you have been assigned to write a program that does all the necessary calculations. For each test case, print out one number, the total number of winnings from all the games. It does this mean T, the space N and M, N number of cards, M number of numbers on each card. Each of the following n lines represent m cards for every card. Okay, okay. There are 3 players and 3 cards with 5 numbers on each, and these are the 5 numbers. So, what do I have to do with this? His answer is 0, where the answer is 50. Here it is 31. Let's see with 31. If these two play, then who is the winner? Shit. How do I consider the first test case? The game between the first and the second player, the winner receives this many 19 chips. The game between the first and the third player, the winner receives 18 chips. And in the game between the second and the third player, the winner receives 13 chips. First and second, the winner receives 19. First and third, winner receives this. And so this, and this. Okay, that is horrible. I do not want to go kn square. Is there something I can do? N square would be a lot of time. N square would be pretty big. I have to optimize it. So there is the simple brute force approach of n square, but that is not what I want to do. I have to optimize my solution a bit. Keep it up. A suggestion would be work on your sound, make it a little more crisp for your stream. I will work on that. Thank you for suggesting. I will do something about the sound, even though I do have a mic. It, I guess, doesn't work that good. And here, an algorithm that is better than n square. I'm looking for absolute differences. Are there some calculations that I am repeating? This this thing is repeated, but that is because matrix. Nah, matrix will be very big. Okay, think of something that I can do. Hmm, there has been 2 hours and 40 minutes. 7 minutes. And it is not even n square. It is the algorithm is n square into k into m, which is crazy. It is guaranteed that total n into m in all test cases does not exceed this. So can I just simply apply the brute force algorithm? Let's see. If I apply the brute force, what the heck is that? Playing in a casino, PCPP. Yep. N and M and shit, I would need a n by m array in n m c in n m vector of vector array called a of size n by vi size m, and everything has been equalized initialized to 0 and I equals 0, I less than n, I plus plus. Get the current row and for int I equals, ah, fuck. Okay, first I will have to get the inputs and then, okay, j equals 0, j less than m, j plus plus, and cn, no, for auto reference x in a I cnx. Yeah, that works. And now I equals 0, I less than n I plus plus for j equals 0, j less than m j plus plus minus 1, and also in answer initially equals 0. Shit. And I equals 0, I I less than n, go up to the last one, and I plus 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 plus, which is crazy. N cube we have here, answer plus equals absolute value of a I j minus a I j, and see out answer. I should get the correct answer here, or maybe not. Like, um, why is it 50? Size M, yep, AI, and every vector inside A is of size M. That is cool. And then I equal to 0, minus 1, do not go to the last one. And from some I, shit, I plus 1. And it will give me TLE error, which is TLE error, time limit exceeded error. This will, yep, this will give me TLE error. Of course, this will give me error, error. Error. Yep, it is still running on test number 4, and it will give me error, time limit exceeded error, as I thought. Or just look at these numbers, massive numbers. And in the fourth one, it would be very big indeed. Okay. If I sort this thing before doing that, would that help? I guess sorting would help in some way. Yep, because I'm going through everywhere. But sorting in what way? I don't really- Yep, it has been 2 hours and 50 minutes, and that is quite a bit of time to be spending. And I want to relax for a minute, for not a minute, for more than a minute and I want to eat, and therefore that would be the end of today's stream. It is 3rd of August 2025, Sunday, and thank you for being here.